The principles of design. What this lesson is all about is concepts that make your design work better, make it look better, and not just, well, that looks cool and, well, that doesn't. Why? What makes that design look a little bit more cool? None of these things that we're going to talk about are really complex or mind-blowing. It's just stuff that you wouldn't have really thought of before. So let's get into it. Alright, so first concept we're going to talk about is contrast or emphasis. Now, in design, you want some things to stand out more than the other. And we put emphasis on them. And how would we make emphasis? With contrast. So what is the definition? Making one element in a design more prominent than another. What do I mean by that? Well, look at this Ollie's ad. If I were to ask you what stood out in this design, you might say you'll rake in the savings. One of your classmates might say 99 cents. Someone else might say the big head. Nothing really stands out in this design. Everything's meant to jump out at you and to get your attention. So because of that, nothing's actually standing out. It's all just kind of blending in because it's all on display. This ad over here, store closing sale. To me, that's what stands out the most. Why? Because it's all caps. Because those letters are really big. And because the background's black and they are white. So there's a lot that's been done to this to make this really stand out. All display is no display. Ollie's ad is a perfect example of that. Everything on this ad here is meant to stand out, so nothing really does. It's like if someone walks into class wearing all hot pink one day. They stand out. The next day, we all wear hot pink. No one stands out because everyone tried to stand out, so effectively no one does. Color, underlining, italic, bold, large, or all caps can emphasize. These are just a few of the ways that we can go about making things stand out. There's a bunch more, but these are just a few ways that we can make something stand out more than something else. Line of golden proportion. This one might be interesting to you because this is probably something you didn't know before. Line of golden proportion is the place in a page that you look first. Now you might think that would be the top or maybe the middle, but it's actually not. What would happen is we have to fold a piece of paper into 8 equal spaces, and that's where you would look first, the third dividing line. Point in a page in which the eyes naturally look first. Slightly above center, and as I was saying, you divide a page into 8 equal spaces, and the third dividing line is where someone typically looks first. Typically, when you're making a design, the most important thing should be on that line of GP. So in this case, it should probably be practice safety, because that's the whole purpose of this. They're trying to get people to look at that and pay attention to that. This is true in not just print ads, and all of these concepts are true in not just print ads, but web pages, advertisements that you see on TV, something that you see on a water bottle. You know, the most important thing is typically going to be just above the line of GP. If you watch the news or Sports Center in the evenings, you'll see that they put the anchor's eyes right on that line of GP, not the center, not the top. Next concept is unity. What is it? It's the different elements in a design working together. It's the king of all principles. If there's one thing that you should achieve in a design, it's unity. The easiest way to achieve unity is through repetition. If you're getting dressed in the morning and you want your clothes to match, if you wear all black and orange in your clothes, guess what? They're going to match because it's all black and orange. Very simple to just keep that same color scheme going. Let's talk about these examples. There are some really cool looking fonts in this first junior class barbecue example. I like the Flag Park example. I kind of like the September. There's a lot that I like about it, but we talked about type, and when we did, we said that every different font conveys a different message. So if we're throwing 10 different fonts, or however many fonts there are in this ad, all together in one little poster, it's conflicting. It's sending a bunch of different impressions. The one below it it's very boring. To be honest, I'm not really a fan of it either, but there's unity there. It's not conflicting itself. The wedding invitation, we have a ring, we have a heart, and then we went with a Joker Man font. There is no unity there at all. You don't want your wedding to be a joke. You want to go with something more formal, like maybe a script font. That is unity, and the easiest way to achieve it is through repetition. Rhythm. I'm sure you've heard of rhythm before as a musical term, but it's also a graphics term. What is it? It's the visual flow or pattern of a document. It's a feeling of visual movement, and it's how your eyes flow across the document. Okay, the top two examples here. The one on the left, very straightforward and boring. We're just reading top to bottom, left to right, like we typically do. The one beside it on the right, our music is kind of jumping back and forth, following a curved line, and then our text does as well. So we're kind of here, then we're over here, then we're back over here, then we're back over here. It's a little bit more interesting and appealing to look at. This lumber company, and there's even arrows to show you how the rhythm was planned out to be, has everything. Tony's Lumber Company. And my favorite example is this buying and selling. When I look at this ad, I see buying and selling first. Why? Because it's so heavy, dark, so bold, and it's just above the line of GP. Then I see their heads because they're overlapping with it, but I'm following her gaze down to his arm, following his arm down. Reading an ad in the Weekly Bugle is a proven way to buy or sell. And I'm exiting in the bottom left, like we're trained to do. Bottom right, like we're trained to do. So that is rhythm. It's just planning out how someone should be looking through your design. Proportion, what is it? It's the size relationship between different parts of a design. So, we're lazy. We don't like to read any more than we have to. But we like to look at pictures. That's why things like Instagram are so popular. You can convey a lot through just a picture. Well, these two top examples have the same amount of text. Which one would you rather look at? Not this one, because that image and text, they're equal size. Over here, we made the image bigger, much more appealing, and coincidentally, that text looks less significant now. Like it looks like it's actually less text, even though it's not. So the bigger picture is much better on this one. Pizza to go? Lots and lots of text down here. No one needs to read that. If they want to know more about their pizzeria, they're going to call you. They're going to go to your website, come into your store. So let's just simplify. Nice big pizza, because guess what? We like to look at pictures. Phone number, pizza to go. This is just an example of an incredibly big heading with tiny amount of text. Not so good, not good proportion. No notes for that one. And the final one, unfortunately, has a lot of notes. The final one is balance. In any kind of design, you want to have some sort of balance. If there's something on the left, have it balanced out by something on the right. Shouldn't feel off balance. But there's two ways to do balance. What is the balance, first off? Well, it's the placement of elements in a design so that their weight is evenly distributed. The easiest way to do balance is to just have a line going right down the middle that splits the whole page in half. So it's splitting Mr. John's face in half and the text in half, everything in half. That's known as formal balance. So I'm going to call up all the notes here because you can see there's a lot. That way you kind of get a feel for how much space you have to write. So yeah, formal balance is centered around a vertical center line. It's very easy to design with formal balance, but it's not very fun because everything has to be on that center line if it's all going to be formal. Why would we use formal balance? Oh, by the way, formal balance is symmetrical, meaning it's same on both sides. Why would we use it? Because it gives a sense of dignity, strength, order, and security. Good times to use it: banks, weddings, and ceremonies. Think about what you want in your bank. You want them to be orderly, and that's something that formal does, under our third note there. You want them to be strong so that someone can't just walk in at the end of the day and take your money. Orderly so that they don't lose your money. Secure. All of that is reasons why this is perfect for a bank. However, if we're designing, informal is the much, much more fun way to design. This one here, we still have that center line. We've shifted Mr. John to the right, the text to the left. The text that says Mr. John, still on the left, but guess what? We've even darkened Mr. John's face to help balance out this dark Mr. John over here. Much more fun to design this. Not to mention the fact that the text is much bigger here, the text is much smaller, the picture is much bigger. Remember, that's what we like to look at. We've changed proportions and we also have balanced it out. So informal, it's not symmetrical, not the same on both sides, but still has a sense of equilibrium. It's less formal. I mean, it's called informal, so better be less formal. It's more flexible because we don't have to have everything so strictly laid out where it's all on that vertical center line, and it's more modern and personal. It's just a much more appealing thing to look at, to me. Now, someone who's older than me might feel different, and you might feel different, but I prefer to design with informal balance, if possible. These are the 6 principles of design, and if used correctly, they're really going to help you to make some really nice designs. You definitely want to think about them when you're making any kind of design. Hope this all makes sense.